Oh,
We're on live.
Nosferatu.
Yeah, buddy.
Oh,
Trying to find a way to put my name into that, but like that.
I was moving you to the other side there so you wouldn't bite me, but no, I'll just keep you there so you can see me.
I'll just stare at the side of your head.
How you doing?
Put my microphone down. I'm great. How are you?
Oh, hang on, I've turned the volume down.
We've had one of these.
Got louder all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Coming back from the dead, it does it.
Mm-hmm. I opened up the coffin. I was a little muffled.
That was it. Oh, coffins. Boy, do we have coffins tonight. I've got a big pile of books here.
So I got a pile of books too.
Ooh,
what kind of books you got?
Vampires.
Ooh.
One in particular for tonight, of course.
One guy everybody talks about. Sick and tired of that guy. He gets all the fame.
I know.
We're out here working our butts off, turning people left and right, and everybody just talking about Dracula. Ooh, Dracula! I've done twice what he's done. Who talks about me? Nobody. It's usually because I don't leave any witnesses. But I mean, like, he's sloppy.
Yeah, and you don't turn anybody either, do you?
No.
Yeah, just why turn somebody? That's
turn them every once in a while, but that's only because I don't like them, and then I kill them later.
It's about eating half a meal and then not finishing it. I'm not big on that.
Yep.
All right, so let's get going with this then. Let's got a few people watching us. We are on YouTube as per normal. We are on not Twitch, Twitter, Facebook.
Sorry,
yeah, I know Twitch. What can you do? That intro I quickly threw together. That new intro.
I like it.
Cheers. I did it for the interview that I was doing with Sam J. Jones. Flash Gordon.
Oh yeah.
I put an image of you in it specifically because you were made up to look like the spirit. But I don't think I mentioned that to him on the night. You would probably have looked at me with a bemused look as to what I was talking about. But
as people tend to do.
They do. Yeah. And Americans have got no idea about my accent anyway. I mean, to this day, you don't know what I'm talking about, do you?
I've been faking it for 3 years.
Yep, there you go. Right, so without further ado, let's have a wee look at what we're doing tonight. And we're looking at Count Dracula, or Dracula, but specifically in the comic books. This was tougher than I thought it was going to be. I wish I'd set this one like a few months ahead because there's so many Dracula comics out there.
It's amazing how many there are. And I don't even think we scratched the surface of adaptations.
No, not at all. I've got on my PowerPoint this evening, I've got it split into two. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at based on the book. So these are going to be comics that have Dracula in them. So they're based on Dracula. They're not direct adaptations of the novel. And then we're going to the second half of this magnificent PowerPoint. We're going to be talking about the actual adaptations. We'll probably end up feeding into these anyway as we're going through this.
Right.
And any of the you want to bring up Statto, or if anybody that pops into the chat wants to mention, we'll have a wee chat about as well, because we'll most likely have seen them, I'm guessing.
Right.
Do you know the first comic book adaptation of Dracula that you got, or first comic book Dracula you were aware of?
First one I got was trying to think. Probably be the I don't know. Might be the Dynamite one, or the one that Topps put out.
Right. So you're like, well, okay, right, go. We'll definitely get to them then. Mine was Marvel's Dracula, which I've got up here. So I don't.
If you're talking just Dracula comics, it'd probably be Essential Dracula Volume 1.
So
basically
the same then.
Yeah.
Basically the same. So you first introduced to him in Essential Dracula, which was black and white, which is great on newsprint. And I was introduced to him in the Dracula Lives weekly comic, which are the two on the right there, The Mind of Dr. Sun, and featuring the Legion of Monsters. And hey, Dave, all right, me babbers.
Hey,
So I was reading them every week in the early 70s with, they would take the American Tomb of Dracula comic and they would cut it up into 2 or 3 parts, and they would have them released every week in a weekly comic along with other Marvel horror characters.
Sure.
And they'd have to create brand new covers like the ones you see there by the likes of Pablo Marcus.
Some beautiful covers.
Yeah. The one thing I get slightly peeved at when they do all the reprints is they don't collect as an extra all the extra pages that were done for the British versions, which is a shame because there was lots of really good stuff done. But yeah, so I was reading Dracula Lives weekly. At the same time on the television, they were repeating all the old Universal and Hammer movies, so it was great.
Oh, yeah.
And I was getting, whenever I could, the monthly Tomb of Dracula. I never managed to get the Dracula Lives, which was a black and white magazine, or that particular issue of Howard the Duck where he fights Dracula.
I think they released a lot of that in the form of, I want to say it was, if you can find it, I'm not sure, you might be able to, the Essential Volume 4 was all the magazine stuff.
Yeah, I've got all that stuff in there. Yep, I've read it all since then, but yeah, I couldn't. The Marvel magazines were hard to get your hands on over here.
But it kind of sucks since they brought it down to like standard comic size when it was magazine, so they had to, skew it a little bit.
It annoys me that. I've got some of it in omnibus format. It's still not the right size because it's
right.
Yeah, but it's a lot better.
At least you get to read it.
Exactly. So this was my kind of Dracula in comics, which was great. It was Gene Colan, of course, and he was based on
Jack Palance.
Jack Palance, yeah. Jack Palance before Jack Palance played Dracula. So
is that right? I thought it was because of the. No, I guess you're right.
No, it would be before, wouldn't it?
Which one was that? The Dracula he was in? It was. I'm trying to think of the name.
It was what's this called? Dracula.
Dan Curtis' Dracula. That's what it was.
Oh yeah, Dan Curtis' Dracula.
Yeah.
So he was in. Oh, this is wonderful old man television. This is a old man.
Yeah, I'll never forget that movie for the day for night shooting that they did at night. It was like middle of the afternoon, and they tossed a blue filter over it. Shadows don't work like that at night, guys.
No. Okay, so Tomb of Dracula was 1972, and Jack Palance and Dracula was 1974. So yeah, so he was. Gene Colan was seeing it in the future.
Yeah.
This is better than Jack Palance's movie. Quite be said.
True. These aged really, really well. Better than some of like the superhero stories.
Yeah. And they're still kind of odd and strange as well. In fact, I think it was like 70 issues, and Gene Colan drew every single one of them.
Yeah.
He inked the first issue, and you can see two of the colour pages there are from the first issue. And the first issue was written by Jerry Conway, and it was a really good, even just as a normal one-off Dracula story. It's really good. And then we had Archie Goodwin and Gardner Fox writing a few issues, and then from issue 7 onwards, it was Marv Wolfman, Gene Colan, and it's just one of the best Bronze Age runs.
Right up there with Ernie Wrightson for horror artists.
Yeah, totally. Just fantastic. And you don't get many runs with one artist that goes all the way through. Something like 70 issues.
Right.
Fantastic stuff. Yeah. And there's the Neil Adams pages from the origin of Dracula.
These lend themselves so much better to black and white. I mean, when they color them, they can look good because usually the rendering takes, you can just do flat coloring and the rendering will take care of it. So, I mean, it's not a bad thing colored, but I mean, when you see it in black and white, holy crap, just like those, the showcase and the essentials and stuff like that was the perfect place for horror books.
Yeah.
in war books and stuff. Yeah,
the quality of the wash is lost when they colorize it.
Yeah,
so it's a shame that. But yeah, this was like a in the magazine they didn't have the comic book code, so they could do things that were a bit stronger and get away with a lot more.
Yeah.
But
I wish I would have appreciated these more as a kid, because little kid, you like colors and stuff like that, and
yeah,
I had a couple of magazines like Conan and a couple of Dracula ones.
Yeah.
And I think I want to say maybe I donated them at one point, but as an adult, I'm like, why did I do that? I could have sat and just appreciated this inking.
Yeah, well, as a kid, it was different for me because all our comics were black and white. We just had the odd coloured page every now and then. Hey,
Right.
Nick. And it was one of those things where like colour or black and white. It was for me. It was just if it was a British comic, black and white.
Mhm.
If it was an American comic, colour. And then I saw things like Vampirella and that, and realised, oh, you black and white comics as well. But
So
black
those
and
were
white
even
was
more
always
like disposable than ours were, because they were black and white, printed way cheaper.
Yeah, these ones here had glossy covers, but it was just cheap newsprint inside.
Yep.
So yeah, so you would roll them up and you would fight with them after you'd read them, sort of thing,
Right.
But that's from the Essentials. I opened up one of my Essentials and took a photograph.
Still looks pretty good.
It looks rather nice, and it's this Blade.
Mm-hmm.
It was introduced. It was kind of like a blaxploitation character. Who's a vampire.
I'm surprised he never got a movie in the 70s, even a straight to TV like Dracula style movie.
That would have been great.
It would have been.
As much as I love Wesley Snipes, I think even just some nondescript TV actor playing him back in the 70s.
Hey, Dr. Mask. Oh yeah,
hey, Dr. Mask. But yeah, so that's I've got.
I would have put into the what's
got
the
my Masterworks here because
nice.
I'm collecting them all now in Masterworks form because I just kind of like the idea of getting doing a Dracula every year and not having like about a year's worth of issues in it. That? Let's see, how do I do this again? So there you go.
Oh, that's not bad.
It's not bad at all. It's a lot easier to kind of like to read. It's got.
For the record, I would have put my vote in for Jim Kelly as Blade back in the day from Enter the Dragon.
Yeah.
Okay, that would have been my Blade.
Let's try to find a couple of pages here that are full of stuff. So as good as Gene Colan's work is in black, it does look, the colouring in this is really nice as well.
Yeah, all you have to do is a flat colour and it'll take care of the rest.
It's got that lovely Bronze Age kind of feel to it. Mm-hmm. And also they're having fun with the colours. So nice. There you go. Yeah. That's those 2 pages I had up earlier in the Masterwork.
Yeah, it looks great.
Gorgeous stuff. So there's also a facsimile of the first issue that Marvel put out, which is quite nice to get a hold of, because that first issue with that Jerry Cormier wrote is just a very good standalone introduction to Dracula and this world with the characters that Marvel are going to use. If it had been, it reads like the kind of issue you would have got in not an anthology, in like a something like Showcase, or Marvel Premiere. It reads like something like that.
It always felt really out of place when the Marvel Universe characters would like wander into these stories. I remember one when he fought the Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, what are you doing here, man?
But here he is fighting an extremely exaggerated Scottish caricature.
Does he got like bagpipes with knives and stuff like that come out?
He should have.
They laddie a lot.
He's got tartan on his tartan. This is the kind of stuff that never bothered me as a kid and still doesn't bother me, of the over the top caricaturization.
Dr. Mass says I've seen some pretty horrific, not in a good way, coloring in these old comics. Yeah. It's sometimes I've noticed like when they collect them and they put them on this glossy paper, it makes it always worse because like in order to get like a brown leather jacket, they had to use orange.
Yeah.
So that it would sink into the paper and be brown, but then when they reprint it, they use the orange. So So everybody's
it
running around with
is.
these like really garish things.
It is weird. It's kind of. I'm going to do a video at some point because I've been working on how I'm going to do it, looking at the Conan colouring, the Dark Horse against the originals.
Yeah, and printing itself is different, so they don't need to do that now anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, if I do like the masterwork and I like the paper they're on, but if they could pull the saturation down the colours just a little bit.
Is it glossy paper? Is that like that that kind of
Yeah, it's glossy, but it's more like a silk. So
okay, so the satin.
Yeah, so it's not that hyper horrible glossy paper.
I find myself really liking like the uncoated, almost computer paper style stuff. It holds the color so well. There's absolutely no gloss in it whatsoever.
Yep.
But you don't see that a lot anymore. Every once in a while, I think actually Fantagraphics does it a little bit. Maybe they
do some. I've got
like
I've got the Penguin editions of the Marvel. They put 3 Marvel editions: Black Panther, Spider-Man, Captain America, and they've got a paper like that, which is nice. It's got a nice
kind of rough paper.
Yeah, thick matte paper.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, so I would have everything done like that, but
nice bright colors, a little texture to the paper for that tactile feel. Like yeah, that's the way to go.
Because you always like to run your fingers over the pages and sniff the bits,
Yeah, I know a lot of people are book sniffers. Dirty book sniffers.
Right, and we'll dive into that. So yeah, I mean, Tomb of Dracula in it is the lead character, and for 70 odd issues, 70 issues plus all the Draculas, they managed to have him as a lead character, and you never really get sick of it. It made him interesting, and you were interested in what happened to him, even though he was an evil so-and-so.
Right. Well, he's always fighting someone worse.
Yeah.
Satan would pop up and he'd be like, "Get back down there."
Yeah.
No, this is my place.
But he still had his own diabolical plans, so that was cool as well. It was like taking Dr. No and making him the hero.
Very much like a hold my beer character. Like
Totally. But that's like Tomb of Dracula. That's Marvel's Dracula. It wasn't like a Marvel team up with Spider-Man, because you mentioned it was always weird when he was teaming up with these other characters, but he didn't do it in his own book.
He didn't do it much, no.
There was a crossover with Werewolf by Night, and there was a crossover with Doctor Strange, who kind of works with Dracula.
Those made sense, yeah. But when you get, like, say, Captain America wandering in or something like that, it's just like, I don't know what you guys are thinking.
Yeah.
Punisher would have been a good guest star, like shooting him a bunch of times, and he's just like, go back to New York.
Right. This is an odd one.
I haven't seen this one.
This was was this like 75, 76, around about early 70s in the UK, and it was a part work, and that's kind of like you collect them every week or every month, and then you get a binder and you compile them all in this folder. But this only lasted for about 15 issues or so. I collected a movie magazine that came out. It was a part work that came out every week, and you would buy it, and then you got the binder, and you would open up the binder and you put all the issues in, and you'd have like this.
That's cool.
Yeah, and you'd put it in your bookcase, and you pull it down whenever you wanted to look through them again.
Looks like a Dario Argento film or something like that.
Yeah. This was weird because it wasn't Dracula so much as it was a series of mostly science fiction stories and sword and sorcery stories that were in this comic that was just called Dracula. And it was all these artists, like these great Spanish artists, like Esteban Maroto and San Duran and all these kind of people.
That's Spanish or Italian.
Yeah. So, and this was sent to me by not the actual comic, but the photograph was sent to me by lovely, isn't it? Stella, the radical cartoonist who was on a couple of weeks ago with me and Lucifer. She's got every issue of this, and you were doing a show, so she took a photograph of these and sent it to us, and it's gorgeous.
You ever read Night Force, Wullie?
Night Force was great.
I never heard of it.
Oh, it's really good. It's Marv Wolfman and Gene Colan, and they're basically, I think it's Dan Green doing the inks on Colan on that.
Okay, cool. I'm looking into that.
If it was Tom Palmer, it would just be a bit better. But you could almost imagine it being in the same universe as Tomb of Dracula. But but yeah, no, it was really good. But yeah, I think that is an Esteban Maroto for I think it was Wolf the Barbarian or
that.
something like that. But yeah, it's an oddity from the 70s, the kind of thing that you would get, which is really quite cool. I
That's
can't
one of
see
those
any.
covers. It's not quite a pinup, but it lets you know the tone of the book. But it doesn't really have anything to do with the inside of the book, I imagine. Like,
Yeah, I think they were all like that. They all had those kind of covers, but inside you would open up and it'd be sword and sorcery and science fiction.
beautiful paintings, yeah.
Yeah, I think even did adaptations of Asimov stories and stuff like that.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
You know, but yeah, an oddity from the 70s, but a really gorgeous one.
I don't know this one either.
Yeah, I got a copy. It was another one of these tops ones. So, slightly disappointed I can't get a larger format version of this because it's same artist that we just saw on that doing that lovely pin up there on the Dracula, Esteban Maroto. And what they've done with this is like a mini series that Tops did, and it was.
That's beautiful.
It was a prequel, so it was like the story of Vlad the Impaler.
Oh, they're going that route.
Yeah, it was very much based on the documentary In Search of Dracula, and this was all scanned from the original artwork.
It looks a little scanned, but not bad.
Yeah. But it looks better than it does on the screen.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, like, sometimes you get that. That's one problem I have with like the Marvel Epic collections and stuff like that, is where the inking really suffers when they put it on that glossy paper.
Yeah. No, this is actually, the reproduction is really good in this.
Yeah,
because it's the original pages that they took it from, and there's 3 pages in here where they couldn't get the original artwork.
Don't color that.
So that's one there. So that's taken from the comic. So the original comic was colored.
Okay.
So the 3 pages that they can't
just
get the original artwork
out like that.
Yeah, I know. So the 3 pages of that stand out, but it's nice to see it in black and white because you get to see.
I guess that's better than I've got a Masters of the Universe like complete comic strip collection, and there were a bunch of comic strips that were lost. So there's just a square that tells you what was in that comic strip. He-Man's coming in and he's punching a guy in the face. And,
I'd rather they actually put something in there instead of just to be square.
Right.
But this is really nice. It's a really good story because you can imagine it in a Savage Sword of Conan. So you can imagine Roy Thomas doing this as a backup story.
Look at all those freaking panels on one page.
Yeah. Again, that's why I think I'm pretty sure there's a European graphic novel version of it out there somewhere, which is a larger format.
Yeah.
There's got to be with that kind of artwork.
I know Europeans usually have like 12 to 13 panels a page sometimes. Cram it all in with that wider book. Really take advantage.
Yeah. If you get the Tops did the comic, I don't know how much it's going for because probably not that expensive. I'm thinking of getting them as well. It was Paul Mountains who did the colouring on it, and the colouring on it looks quite nice as well, to be honest with you. But yeah, so that's one that you don't have, but I recommend it. It's got a good old school vibe to it.
Wow. Who's the artist on this?
I didn't drag over my Vampirellas. Well, that's Jose Gonzalez.
Okay.
Who's my favourite artist on Vampirella. Vampirella's weird because it had Dracula in there, but Dracula. Now I don't know what Dracula's like in the modern Vampirella comics. I don't keep up with them. As far as I'm concerned, they're not canon. There's only the Bronze Age black and white Dracula, Vampirella that's canon, and she came from a planet of vampires, and so did Dracula in that as well. So it's not the old Dracula that we know. But they still have him with the cape and everything and so on, and they're just
natural.
Yeah, they're kind of weird and wacky and strange and entertaining. And that's pretty much why the main reason why I put them in there. They're not the best Vampirella stories, it has to be said. The ones with Dracula,
Really?
I don't think.
Well, I suppose it takes the focus off of her a little bit.
Yeah, they never really were great for me. They could have been a lot better than they were. But he is there. He is a character, and they spun him off into Erie, and he got his own kind of like
of course
strip in there. I don't know how long it lasted because I never got any Eries, and I've not got any of the archives of that.
Oh, really? You're not going to start that one for once?
Well, they're soft cover now, so I'm going to start it. Yeah, they're starting. I think next month they're starting to bring out Erie soft cover versions of their archives.
Wow, I don't think I've ever seen them in a soft cover.
Yeah, so they've got Creepy coming out with Creepy and Erie. And
I'm not even going to start it. I got my hands full with EC. I can't.
I don't know. I don't know if I can resist. I resisted the hardcovers. I got the first of the Creepy, but it was too expensive to keep going with.
I think I've got one book of Creepy or Eerie, one of the two. That's okay. I'm good. It's beautiful, but they're expensive. Tempting, but
right. Yeah. The Archie Goodwin stuff's all really cool.
Archie Goodwin, I love his stuff, both as an editor and a writer.
But yeah, I mentioned for Dracula and Vampirella, who's not really Dracula, and is actually quite a pathetic character if you read it. I'm not selling this at all. Well, look at that gorgeous artwork.
It's got to be like the John Carradine of Dracula. Like both those movies, he went out like a sucker. Like just kind of brought him over to the sunlight and opened his casket or kicked him out of a carriage, and he just kind of died there.
Actually, if you took John Carradine and mixed him with Count Yorga, that's kind of like the Vampirella Dracula. That's what to expect. Right, here's another one I don't think you'll know.
Scream. No.
But you'll recognize Simon Furman's name, I'm thinking.
No, who is that?
Oh, he wrote Transformers.
Okay.
Jerry Finlay Day he wrote Rogue Trooper and a lot of war comics and military stuff, and British comics. And Eric Bradbury was an old school illustrator of British comics and worked on them for years and years and years. And Scream was a comic book that came out in the 80s, which I bought the first issue of. It was a weekly one, and but I didn't buy any more because I was at college then, and I had to save up my money.
Comics were for nerds, right?
Well, I had to save up my money for the pub because it's Monday night, Wednesday night, Friday night, and Saturday night.
Right.
So and maybe Sunday night. But this only lasted about 15 issues anyway.
Okay.
So not that it was bad or anything, but Scream, it was the actual publishers were a bit wary about putting out a horror comic, so it wasn't so much that it was banned or anything. They just decided, no, we're going to stop publishing this.
It kills me that I missed out on this kind of time because, growing up, I loved those books where it would be like, like a ghosts or tales of like the kind that has like 3 or 4 stories in it, and you just get to go read through them. I got a few used ones, but
you can relive it with the Dracula files from the pages of Scream, which this said it doesn't really have an ending because they just stopped the comic, but it doesn't really matter because Eric Bradbury in British comics, so he would pump out 4 pages like this.
Nice reproduction
every week. Yeah, it's a lovely book, and it's a map as well. It's got that nice texture to it. So he would pump out 4 pages every week, which would go in, and that would be the main story, 4 or 5 pages.
That's the secret of those high contrast artists. The more shadows and contrast you use, the less hard you have to work. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
You just got to learn composition. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, I'm thinking of that for my next piece. Less hatching, but I love hatching.
I feel like Mike Mignola's got to be able to churn out pages like crazy.
I'm trying to find there's some stuff here, but I can't find the pages I'm looking for. But nevertheless, it's very traditional looking Dracula stuff. It's gorgeous stuff. It's got one sequence where he feeds on somebody who's watching a Dracula movie in the cinema.
Meta.
It's got another sequence where he hides inside a phone box not a phone box, a post box.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody goes to post a letter, sees the eyes looking out at him, and then his hand comes out like a big mist and pulls the person, and he feeds on them. So this was great stuff for kids reading it weekly. Although
yeah.
the first issue I didn't, but I'm quite happy to have a copy and have read it years later and going, that's a lot of fun. But yeah, so the British comics didn't have many kind of horror comics or stuff like that. They'd have stories that were kind of in girls' comics more than in boys' comics, because they used to do girls' comics and boys' comics.
Yeah.
And the girls' comics would have stories that were more based in supernatural and creepy stuff because they were more gothic. It would be like set in boarding schools, and the girl would be there and they'd have like the school mistress that was evil and all that kind of stuff.
A little more romance in there and stuff.
Not so much romance, no, just pure dark nastiness. They were written by the same writers, like people like Pat Mills and Alan Grant, so
Sure.
Yeah, we did have the romance comics, but I think the comic I'm thinking of is Misty, which was a girls' comic and it had a lot of kind of supernatural type stuff in it.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, this was it, weekly, the Dracula file, and
there it is.
There we go. I can't be bothered going through my long boxes, so I didn't. I've got the first print of that somewhere.
Oh, do you? I just got the trilogy reprint where they screwed things up a little bit, so there's some weird separations and blackness. It's like a weird, like shiny gray in the middle of the black almost. It's kind of odd, but the stories still hold up. When I was a kid, I didn't understand this. Like looking at that far right picture of Batman there, I'm like, well, everything is off. What the heck am I looking at here? Why is his arm 6 feet long? And stuff like that. But then getting used to like horror artists and EC and stuff like that, and I'm looking at it now going, wow, he's brilliant. He's making it like an urban legend.
Yep.
Sort of thing. It looks amazing for a horror book.
Yeah. No, Kelly Jones was like perfect for that.
And he was a great fill-in for Wrightson when he died, finished that Frankenstein book.
That's true. Yeah, he did a good job there. That's not an easy thing to pick up on. This was like I enjoyed this. I remember reading it at the time and enjoying it, but not thinking that much more of it, other than it was good fun, and it was more Batman than Dracula.
Well, Elseworlds was just a baby at the. Was this the first one? No, was this the first Elseworlds, or was that Kingdom Come? I can't remember. Maybe this.
I think this Kingdom Come was out after.
Yeah,
after this, wasn't it? Yeah, because there was a few.
Because Elseworlds was different than What If.
Yeah, because the Elseworlds normally were just like one-off, kind of like 64 pages.
Yeah, let's do something different. Like, yeah,
Batman during the Civil War, all that kind of stuff.
The ultimate non-canon line.
Yeah,
it was great. I loved Elseworlds.
Yeah, good fun. But yeah, I put this one in here as it's not a great Dracula story, but it's a good Batman story.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah,
he's not even in there that much.
No, he's not at all. He's just even as the female characters in there more than he is as well.
Yep.
No, it's not Talia, but she's like Talia, Tanya, something like that. But yeah, that's a good one to get a hold of.
Shape.
That's fantastic, isn't it? Yeah. Good one. He also draws the Batmobile like some weird 1930s.
Yeah.
It's almost like a toy car that he's driving around it.
These books are just like a living cape that drives a guy around, I feel like.
He actually has real bat wings in that as well. If you
eventually,
look, yeah, sort of like you can see where there's actually like a brown orange coloured part of the cape. That's actual wings because he has actual bat wings. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a heck of a look.
Crazy.
Now, speaking of heck of a look,
yeah, from the sublime to the ridiculous.
It's crazy to think that if this would have come out in the 90s, he would have looked exactly the same, except he would have had a bomber jacket on. Maybe some stubble.
Maybe some stubble, yeah. He wouldn't have had 1 foot, he'd had no feet.
Well, I mean, they did cheat on that cover and kind of cover one of them.
Cover one up. Have you ever read this?
No. I've heard of it, I've seen it, but I've never actually read it. Because
you can read it on these websites that are
like the archive stuff,
public domain stuff, and that and the archive stuff. Its first issue is like a really bloodless adaptation of Dracula. Second issue is like nothing to do with the first issue. Second issue is the origin of the new Dracula, and it's mental. And,
I wonder if it could be resurrected.
I would love to give it a go.
I always think about like the success of the Gold Key character.
I don't know though, because I read it. It was a couple of weeks ago, and as far as I remember, he was. He's a surgeon, or he's coming up with some kind of like medicine to give somebody who's brain damaged, and he gets knocked over, and he accidentally drinks it, because as you do.
Well,
and,
that would have to be rewritten a little.
And he was experimenting on bats, and so of course it gives him the amazing ability of turning into a bat.
Well, yeah,
that's his superpower. He can turn into a bat. So he becomes Dracula. He's a that's it. And later on, he gives it to this woman who becomes his sidekick. You can see her there.
They would have to obviously add a couple things, but I mean, like, you know,
do you think
when they took like Dr. Solar and Turok and Magnus, you know, and updated those, they turned out great. They were great characters, but they would have been forgotten.
Yeah, they had a little bit more to play with there, I've got to say.
A little bit, but I mean, this just means you got a bigger canvas if there's not as much there.
True.
Just need kind of something reminiscent of that costume there, and go. Yeah. Wonder if it's public domain.
I don't think.
Do you know who owns Dell or any of their assets?
I don't know, because I think they had like financial troubles and were sold.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if like some of their stuff was auctioned off, kind of, or if like certain estates control it, kind of like the Gold Key stuff. Or some of the Gold Key stuff.
You could pretty much do a parody of this sort of.
Maybe there's a bank that owns it or something.
Maybe look into it, and we could bring back their Dracula.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll have to do a drawing of that sometime.
Yeah. Oh yeah, please do. Now this was like God, 70s were so good for this stuff. I had this issue. This is worth money. That was Paul.
Is based on the first movie, or
first movie.
Okay,
and it's Paul Neary, who later went on to do work on Excalibur and through the Dick Fury miniseries, which was quite good.
Doing that John Byrne thing of no wrinkles in the clothing, just black. That's all you see. If there's a floating hand, if it's in the middle of it, just which works. Like I said,
it's lovely stuff using, because of course they didn't have like the videotapes then, so they would go on the stills that they had from the movie and the script, and of course they probably have seen the movie, but it wasn't a case that they could then go and replay it again because they saw it when it was in the cinema.
Dracula was great for that, because I remember like most of the stills for the movie did it real justice, unlike Curse of the Werewolf, where he's carrying his mom around, you know, and they're showing all this awesome werewolf stuff, and they don't tell you it's only like the last 6 minutes of the movie. I like that movie, but man, I got some problems with that movie.
I know you do. I
want more of that werewolf. Where's that sequel, Hammer? Dang it! I even take it now. Make a new one. Make a Curse of the Werewolf 2. It's not too late.
There's Legend of the Werewolf with Tyburn.
Yeah, I want more gothic type stuff.
Yeah. But House of Hammer magazine was amazing, and this is a really nice adaptation. Paul Neary artwork, and they also did Dracula Prince of Darkness with John Bolton artwork.
Yeah, that looks beautiful.
And that's got to be what got him his gigs at Marvel, because he was doing Kull the Conqueror in one of their black and white magazines, and it was just as good as this. Marada the She-Wolf was another thing he did. But yes, gorgeous stuff, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
So
this one I can't really imagine colored. It looks, the black and white is very too intentional as far as the shading and stuff like that goes. If they had taken away some of the hatching on the faces and stuff, you might have been able to get away with it. But
Yeah, it's wherever they're bringing in brush and ink in, and they're starting to bring washes in, like
Yeah.
he's doing here. It doesn't really work when you colour it. Gorgeous stuff. So yeah, I was getting these whenever I could find them, and then jumping forward a couple of decades, because these are no adaptations of the book; they're adaptations of movies based on the book. So I thought I'd include this one here because it's the Mike Mignola adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula by
This is back when
Francis
they
Ford
didn't care about.
Coppola.
This is back when they didn't care about spoilers.
Yeah.
This is pretty dang faithful to the movie.
Yeah,
I missed like the comic adaptation, extra thick annual size kind of. This was in 4 installments, but I mean, like,
yeah, me too. Me too. This is better than the movie, I think.
The last one I got was Predators from Dark Horse.
All right,
that was the last movie adaptation I think I was able to get.
Cool. This is written by Roy Thomas again. He's written quite a few. So
yeah, this here's that classic Mignola where he still drew shoulders.
Yeah, good old days.
Good old.
There was a black and white version of this. They compiled it and just did a black and white version. It looks really
I've got
nice.
that. It's oversized.
You got it? Oh, it's lovely.
It looks beautiful.
I never got hold of that.
Glossy paper though, but
is it?
Yeah.
I've got the original floppies.
So I've got that collected for both of these.
Yeah, the floppies have got little, because it was tops, they've got little, what those things, trading cards in them as well. But yeah, this is one of these ones where I really need to give the film another go. I keep saying that, I never get into watching it.
I'll watch it every year or 2 years. It's not bad. There are certainly better versions that I like more.
Yeah, I really didn't like it.
But it's not a bad version.
Yeah, I'll give it another go.
Very pretty to look at.
Yep. I'll get like a really nice 4K copy or something, and then when it's reduced to £4 or something, and then I'll watch it.
I know that Boston watches his Blu-rays.
This is a fabulous adaptation of it anyway. It improves on the film, I think.
Oh yeah. Speaking of adaptations.
Yeah, how familiar are you with the work of Bill Sienkiewicz?
Oh, that guy?
Yeah.
I feel like, he'll eventually make it.
Yeah, I don't know if he's doing stuff like this. Because he only inked one issue.
I'm so used to his like really scratchy, painty type style.
Yeah.
I was stuff like that.
I always thought it was quite interesting that he inked the issue that Geraldo was in.
Right.
So it's like Count Dracula meets Geraldo.
I have a pretty vague. I remember watching this cartoon as a kid. I don't remember a ton of it, but I do remember liking Dracula as a little kid.
He's a fun character because he was a spin-off from Danger Mouse. Because he was like a villain in Danger Mouse, and
right,
he was popular in his own right. But again, I had to throw him in there, didn't I? Right, now,
adaptations.
The meat and potatoes, adaptations. So we had talked about Doom and Dracula, and it was Dracula Lives, which was the monthly sort of magazine. And it had a serialized adaptation that Roy Thomas was doing with Dick Giordano. And this has since been collected. Got my copy here.
Oh, I've got that's a nice version. I got the colorized version. Hey, big one.
Hey, Pete. So this was a weird one because it was running every month in the magazine, and then the magazine got cancelled, and then jumped forward a couple of decades, and Marvel Comics said we'll let you finish it off, but you've only got so many pages to do it in. So when you read it, it starts at a really nice leisurely pace, and then it starts to takes off like a rocket. And you can also see Dick Giordano. So I'll give you a look at my copy. So this is my copy, a nice wee tail.
Oh, that's beautiful. I like the spot glass.
Yep, I'll take the cover off. So it's got like a nice scratchy mat.
I like that.
And in papers as well, which are really lovely.
Yeah.
And lovely matte paper with gorgeous, isn't it?
That's a production. I like that.
Yeah, the only thing going against it, glue binding, no stitching.
Is it really? Oh.
Yeah, that is shockingly bad. So it's really stiff and it's glue bound. But other than that, treat it with care. It should be okay. And yeah. So I do. It's like you say, it's a gorgeous looking book. They just kind of. It happens a lot with these collected editions for Marvel, or well, mostly from DC.
Yeah.
Not usually from Marvel. Where they basically cock up one of the things, and that was the case there with the binding. But as it stands, it's still got that shine.
Yeah, my copy's not nearly as nice. It's just like a basic trade with the main issues in there. It's probably 100 and something pages. Color.
Yeah.
Gloss.
I quite fancy that copy as well, because I want to see what's like in colour. Yeah, it's the stuff that was. It was an adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula that ran in the Dracula Lives magazine, and they never got to finish it. So what happens was that years later, Marvel said, "Do you want to finish this off? We'll do it as a one-off," and that's what they did. So yeah, it was originally meant to be just serialized all the way. I think Roy Thomas had hoped that the Dracula magazine would be like some sort of Conan and would just go on for years. But that, unfortunately, was not to be the case.
Well, they already had kind of a Dracula book, didn't they, at that point? Or was this before that?
But this was the same time. So,
okay.
So that was a black and white magazine, which was out at the same time as Tomb of Dracula. But yeah, that was kind of like... included in that. So although Marv Wolfman and Gene Colan did do work for the magazine, it was mostly different artists and writers that were working on it.
Let me see here 1 second. Let me just go ahead and present.
What do
I want? Entire screen. Let me just pull something down here. I can show you. Here we go. Share that. I can show you, see what it looks like color.
All right.
So it's not bad coloring.
It's not bad.
I mean, obviously you can tell it was a black and white. It was a black and white situation, but that's pretty much what you're looking at if you get the color version, which, I mean, I hadn't seen this before, so I didn't know that it wasn't printed color, but...
Yeah, it's actually not bad.
No, they go real subtle with it. They don't go super bright colors and stuff, so...
Yeah. All right. That's, yeah, interesting. Yeah, well, we had a wee look at them earlier on there. Pete the Dracula Lives. That was the same. That's how I was introduced to reading Dracula Lives. And then, strange thing was, I would get a hold of the American Tomb of Dracula, and I'd be reading that at the same time, which was like ahead of what I was reading in Dracula Lives. But you know, when you're like 10 years old, 8, 9 years old, you don't care,
right? Comics. I remember just whatever comic it could be like part 4 of 17, and I wouldn't give a crap. I'd be reading it.
Right. Now this is a good one. I don't think I've still got this. I don't know because I didn't check any of my long boxes.
I don't have that either.
In the center, that's the Marvel Classic Comics. It's actually not theirs. It was a Marvel Classic. It was a Classic Comics Illustrated, and they got the rights to it, and they used and they reprinted it, and then they started after about 9 or 10 issues. They started doing their own versions of Classic Illustrated stories. So the early issues would have the Red Badge of Courage and Dracula and Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, all that kind of stuff. Food of the Gods. So they did all these great adaptations in 64 pages. And in the centre there, that was a cover, and it looks very much like Tomb of Dracula because it's a Gil Kane cover, but it's not. It's It's an adaptation of the book, and the artwork's by Nestor Redondo.
Mhm.
And as you can see, the image at the end there, the coloured first page, the colouring was actually quite nice on the graphic note, on the comic book. But on the left, you have this, the copy of this, what I've got here.
Yeah, it looks like the Joker. Like
yeah, the colouring on that is shockingly bad. But I'll show you this. Bring myself up again. Because it's been printed in so many formats, but this was an interesting one because what this one was is this was one that was done for schools.
Oh, that makes sense.
So so it's in black and white.
So Dracula was actually Prince.
Yeah.
Rain. Oh, that looks really great in black and white.
It looks gorgeous in black and white, which is why I got this one, because it's Gary Nice. PG will recognise.
Right.
Yeah,
that's really nice. Look at that.
I'd be well chuffed if I was a school kid and I get handed this to read.
Oh yeah, you and me both.
So the idea of these was to introduce, children to classic.
I feel like literature. It still works. I think they still make and sell stuff like this, but not at such a big margin.
Yeah, but even has like words that you can learn and questions based on the storyline at the end.
Oh yeah, of course.
But you can get that quite cheaply in most places. I think it's a fantastic wee book. I think Nestor Redondo, who's a fantastic illustrator, he did a lot of the black and white horror.
You don't see anything at this level anymore for kids. Like it's definitely going to be like quicker and simpler and more cartoony. Like this. That's the stuff you should be giving to kids. It makes them feel a little older, a little cooler. But
totally, it's amazing. Planet of the thanks for reminding me. It did launch at the same time. I think it's Planet of the Apes weekly. And what happened was when these comics kind of like didn't sell as much later on, they combined them together. So I'm pretty sure at some point you would have had Planet of the Apes and Dracula Lives combined together.
What a crossover.
I'm trying to think where they combined. They might have been. Or it may have just been the Mighty World of Marvel and Dracula Lives. But yeah, they did. That explains a lot. They came out at the same time, doesn't it? That's tells you an awful lot about what was influencing me and Pete.
Oh, for sure.
Right. Now,
look at that.
Seen this one at all?
I've seen it. I don't have
it. I highly recommend it. Science fiction and comic writer Otto Binder. Now, Russ Jones was one of the guys that founded Warren Publishing. Did Vampirella and Creepy and all that kind of stuff. And then he left and did his own thing. And one of the things he did was create the first illustrated original graphic novel based on Dracula. And it was originally released as a kind of wee paperback, like you see down there. But what Vanguard have done is they have put together a whole package here. So, Frank Frazetta cover.
Oh yeah,
right. They've got the artwork. Let's see.
Was it paperback?
It's hardback.
Okay.
There you go. By Al. It's not Al. It's I keep going to say Al Williams, but it's Mick Williams.
Okay.
I'm really going to jump forward to see his artwork. Is fantastic. Right, now.
Oh wow! Look at that.
It's in this kind of format, so it's really zoomed in. You can see the line work,
like a comic strip,
and how really cool it is. So originally these would all be cut up in the little kind of like very small paperback edition that they would released originally.
Yeah.
It does have a nice kind of introduction that puts it into context as well. Lots of stuff in there. And it has got, let's see, an introduction by Christopher Lee.
Very nice.
Because the introduction
Does he say something like, "This is what I wanted to make, but the stupid studios wouldn't let me, and they made really dumb movies"?
Yeah, he just says that for 20 minutes. But Russ Jones, the guy who had the rights to this and came up with this whole idea, he went and he used some of the money for it to go over and get Christopher Lee to do the introduction for the original book when it came out. And there's a link down below underneath all the other links, which takes you to a YouTube video that somebody's put up of Christopher Lee reading this graphic novel.
So I take it he liked it.
he liked it, yeah, or they gave him money.
Yeah,
but it's lovely stuff.
Yeah,
it's just.
I like that they kind of turned it into a comic strip almost. That
fabulous looking stuff. But yeah, so it's highly recommended by moi, and just to give you a closer look at some of the artwork, and it's got that kind of.
That's beautiful. Look at that brushwork.
Gorgeous stuff.
I might have to grab it eventually. Quit tempting me, man. Quit tempting me.
That is nice. That is nice. And it make a good weapon as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Can be a bit of hardcover. He looks a bit like Jack Palance. Yeah, you're talking about the Frank Frazetta one. Yeah, he does look a bit like Jack Palance. There's a lot of Jack Palance about with these. Another one.
I don't think I've seen this one.
This is lovely. Yeah, it is lovely. So quickly. So the next page here, and then pick myself up. So I don't know if you. I think it still goes quite cheaply. I got this when it first came out because I was buying all the Marvel graphic novels, and this was one of the stranger Marvel graphic novels. So Dracula.
Oh, that's Marvel.
Yeah, Symphony and Moonlight and Nightmares. I'm guessing it was. I'm guessing. Having a look here. Although no, actually, Goodman's name's not there. I was thinking this was the sort of thing that they would have done for Epic,
right?
So it's John J. Muth, and it's more of a. It is the original Dracula story, right? But almost abstractly told. So you'll get like little bits of installments from diaries.
Oh yeah.
And then you'll get pages with just like the odd little quote.
It's like somebody trying to do something different with something that's been done so many times before.
Totally. And then you just get pages like this. So it's like chapter 1. This is when they get to England. So you can see the boat in the water. And it's all very kind of like
right,
artistically done. So it's not like a graphic novel. It's not like a comic book adaptation.
Right.
Right. But it still works for what we're looking at.
Almost like a pulp novel sort of thing.
Yeah. And then you'll get like Amelia.
Oh, that looks cool.
Yeah. One thing we haven't talked about that I wanted to talk about is the actual rendition of Dracula. Most times Dracula, when he's rendered, gorgeous stuff.
Yeah. You don't see enough of that.
It can be quite disappointing. And in this book, other than that kind of image, they don't really show you much of Dracula as if he was a man. Because I think he understands that we're always going to judge we're always going to judge Dracula based on our notions of what it should look like.
Right.
So for me, other than the Dell Dracula, which is like flawlessly brilliant in every way, I mean, the Gene Colan, Jack Palance inspired Dracula is probably my favorite visual Dracula in comics. But I like the way that he does it here, where he kind of like, other than that one image just shows you, he never really shows you Dracula.
Right. Sort of like just in the background kind of character that lurks.
Yep. So I think you can still get this in various formats, but it's just a lovely wee, and it is an odd one because it is a Marvel graphic novel, so it came out the same line that gave us the Death of Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I like that
And,
cover a lot, though.
Yeah. Nice stuff.
No, I haven't seen this one either. Wow. Here I was thinking, oh, I got a bunch of them, but it's like, no, you don't.
Right, I'm going to lift this one up now before I look through them because it's heavy.
Ooh.
Right.
What do we got here?
This book by Guido Crepax is his adaptations of Dracula and Frankenstein, plus a few stories with Valentina, his character that he would draw in heavy metal back in the day.
Oh, okay.
I'll be careful. It's a bit kinky, to say the least.
Oh no.
So I know you're a sensitive bird. So, whoa. And just get myself into the actual Drac. Pete,
like
love
the
this
Dario
one.
Argento movie.
Yeah. Wow. But yeah, so I'm going to get a couple of Dracula pages here. So on the ship. Oh, go blimey. Go blimey, governor.
Well, at least the art looks good.
Yeah. So it's a very distinctive way that he drew. I think he came from a fashion background.
It makes sense. It looks it.
Yeah. And anyway, that's enough of that. There's this Fantagraphics. They do the complete Guido Crepax. I've only got this one because they're awfully expensive.
Yeah, Fantagraphics does a good job, but they do charge
awfully expensive
a bit.
Good for working out.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I always liked his work. I liked it in heavy metal, and wherever I could see it. And just some of the images here. The only thing is, as Dracula, I'll take it back again. You see him as a kind of bat-like figure up there at the top.
Right.
Top right, as Dracula is a bit comical. You know, times you look at him, he looks a bit. It's what I was saying earlier. The best interpretations of Dracula tend to be the ones who don't really interpret him.
Right. Yeah, he's one of those characters that you can either go like really literal and do like the Jack Palance or something like that, or you can like do a ridiculous interpretation and go like Kelly Jones in his bat form, kind of full demon situation.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not joining the gym. I just read a book. But yeah, so I would, if you're going to jump into the world of Guido Crepax, this is a good way to do it, because there's Frankenstein's in here as well.
Oh, cool.
And they are weird and kinky and strange. He does a very good. I've got his adaptation of the. Cover your ears. The story of O over there, which is very good if anybody wants to search it out as well. But yeah, lovely stuff. Now, I'm going to read something. Oh God, hang on a minute.
This one,
I'm going to do something.
I got this one in storage.
The only adaptation of Dracula you'll ever need. This is a new gold standard, and that was Warren Ellis, writer of Planetary and the Astonishing X-Men. I don't think you could actually trust Warren Ellis's opinion on Eden after reading that. I didn't like this book at all.
No, it really looks like it. I don't know if the artist like took pictures and then kind of used that as extreme photo reference, but it certainly looks like it in certain pages.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like. I mean, I don't like saying particularly detrimental. It's just, but the art, it doesn't work for me. It might work for you. I've even got a hardcover. So yeah. So I get nice, same kind of vibe I was getting off of the, well put together book. Of course, it's thin book. Oh yeah, so it's glued. But it's page after page of, like you were saying, it looks like it's just been photo.
Yeah.
Reference with continues all the way through. That's been painted over, or
kind of looked like cosplay actors.
and
then they just kind of, yeah.
I'm not averse to doing that,
Right.
But to not take it somewhere and to keep it as static as it is all the way through.
That's, now that you say that, that's kind of like there was no real life to it. They look posed, very posed.
So static, because I take photographs, use them as reference for everything that I do. And then you'll get things like this, which just jump out at you, where suddenly you've got that generic boom that you see everywhere.
Right.
In the lettering. So I was really disappointed, and I started reading it as well. And it's got, like,
it's kind of by the numbers. I mean, as far as the adaptations go, as writing wise,
it's got Dracula's guest in it, which is interesting. So, but I couldn't finish it because I wasn't.
Yeah, I had a little hard time with that.
Yeah, I felt that I would much rather just read the book again. So, yeah.
Art's a big thing with me, like finishing a book. I don't know that there have been a couple, I think, but I don't know that many that I've finished the book if the art was not really good, but the writing was really good.
Yeah.
It's a rarity.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I think that's maybe what they were going for. The cover artist, John Cassidy, did the covers. They're really good.
Yeah, that was like the ultimate bait and switch.
Yeah. So that was I put in that one there because that's one of the few ones where they tried to be dynamic with it. I feel bad. I don't like saying slagging off.
Well, I mean, you just say it's just not for you.
It's not for me. I don't think it's technically and consistently. It's consistent. It's technically fine, and it's a huge undertaking. But if you go back and look at the Dick Giordano stuff from back in the day, and
yeah, it's very Photoshop. Now this one, I just got this maybe last year before or something. I can't remember. Time flies so fast, but this one I liked.
Yeah, this is like, come on, look at the energy in that. Now, this was an interesting one, which could have gone one of two ways. So the idea behind this was to do an adaptation of the Dracula, the book, but to cast Bela Lugosi in it.
And very possibly photo referenced heavily too, but this is done in a way that was a little less. Well, static,
that's what I'm saying. It's like I like photo reference stuff, like artists like Paul Gulacy, did it all the time back in the day. Jose Gonzalez did those wonderful Vampirellas, used loads of photo reference. And again, this is showing you how you do it properly. Because it's just because I think this is one of my favorite Dracula books.
Yeah, they did a good job, and it brings kind of back that like feeling of the old magazines, I think.
Yep. So now, did you know it just finished like in April, and I didn't even know it was out. There was a Kickstarter for their version of Frankenstein with Boris Karloff.
No, I didn't know that. Did it fund?
It did fund. I think you can still, if you go to the Kickstarter, you can still get the book. But
interesting.
It's something like $30, and I'm thinking, well, these ended up for sale, so I'm pretty sure the same thing's
probably going to meet the same fate.
Yeah. So
the real people that wanted it paid for it then.
So they got the okay from the Karloff estate to use his likeness.
Oh, that's great.
But so we have.
The only problem is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is very different from the. It's very different from the movie, and maybe even a little boring.
Yeah, it doesn't look the same either. So they're going by the book.
Weird.
As it were. But so let's find some like boring pages. There you go. Not boring at all because they're well composed, brilliantly drawn. You can just imagine Bela Lugosi acting and playing this sequence.
They handled it was great handling the like old man versus young man kind of thing, because they had plenty of reference with like the cheesy movies that he was in at the end of his, the Ed Wood movies.
Yeah, there's loads of stuff to go with.
I think, on my
I
shelves.
was going funny there. What was that? What happened?
Dracula's trying to stop you talking about him.
Try to stop me. So again, I'm looking for pages where you've got a novel, so there's lots of incidents happening that are kind of like mundane, sort of leading into something. But that's how you do it, and then you can build towards doing stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like you turn the page, and it's the horror strikes.
Right.
This is very good at that, and it reads really well. And if you're invested in the idea that it's a movie that never get made, then
you actually get to see Lugosi with teeth.
Yeah, so you get to see him with teeth and with blood, and it works really well when you get to the finale, because the one thing that always sort of lets Dracula down is the finale of the book is almost like a western,
Right.
and it really changes, and it's not at all like a horror. It's difficult to film and to make work like a gothic horror, because it reads more like an adventure story.
Oh yeah, I mean, like the movie, the Bela Lugosi movie, like it went out with like a bit of a whimper.
Yeah, shockingly bad. I love it though. But yeah, so that's we're getting dead lots of noise with us. So this is one of the ones that does a really good job of that ending and making it work. And I think I've got one more here.
Yep, I just got this one a couple months ago, I think. I was pleasantly surprised because it looked at first like it wasn't going to be that good. But kind of digging into it, I actually like the art. Classic style.
Yeah, that was great. Again, it'd be nice if it was a larger format. Now this is an easy one to get as well.
Oh yeah, it's really, really cheap, especially used.
You just got to watch what version you're going for, because they do. Again, this is the idea of these is to get young folk reading again, so they do different versions. So you can get the one I've got here's the original text. So
yeah.
But you can also get a simplified text, where it's a simplified kind of English. It's not quite. It's not really the way it was written by Bram Stoker.
Right.
But for a younger kid, that might be the one that gets them into the story. But yeah, it's.
Yeah, look at that. You got stuff to read.
Yep. That, by the way, that's as you can see, I've saved it the wrong the wrong PowerPoint.
Oh yeah.
It's not illustrated by Hale Raging and Kerry Gamble. They did the last one. This is oh dear, what's that like? This was going so smoothly as well. Stas Johnson did the artwork for this. So I'll pick myself up then. As soon as I've blown that up. And this is also another case where I actually quite like the Dracula in this. Because I like him. He looks like a force of nature.
Yeah, that cover, when I first looked at it, that almost put me off of it, because it doesn't really convey what's in the book, to me at least. It just seemed
although it is a panel taken directly from the book, so
right. It's weird, because I mean, I don't know what I expected. I don't think, but I was pleasantly surprised by that one.
I was surprised at how dark it was. It doesn't shy away from the horror. Because again,
I mean, it's a horror book, so that's a good thing.
When they do these ones, when they're specifically to get young people into reading again, that kind of stuff, you tend to think that they're going to shy away from.
That's the kind of thing you got to do. Like, give it a little something. Don't totally water it down. You want to see that stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, again, I like you. I think I was surprised at how much I enjoyed this one. And it does a good job again with the climax, making it work as an adventure.
Yep.
An adventure story.
Yeah, that one. That was a good one there. Now this one, I don't know.
Now this one I don't have.
Oh.
But I'm trying. I don't know where. I think it was in the library. Used to have an old copy.
Really?
There was a library used to have an old copy. I don't know if it was a college library. I can't remember now. But this is because it's from the 80s, I believe, and it's
Okay.
Fernando Fernandez, another fantastic
Okay.
Spanish artist. And this is one that I'm going to get.
That reminds me a little of Dan Brereton.
Yeah. It's those 1970s makeup and everything on the vampire ladies.
Right.
There's that black and white image there. That's the version of it that's out right now in Spain. That I'm going to get a copy of that because it's affordable.
It's like, who needs to read it?
I don't need to read it. I know the story. I
Right.
kind of know what's happening. You can get the American version that came out a wee while back is going for silly money, especially because it's just as much to pay for the postage.
Oh, really?
So, but you can get the one with the orange logo down there as a Spanish copy, and you can get them fairly cheaply on eBay. But I quite fancy like the new version.
Yeah.
So there's some images inside it. It's just these Spanish artists, which is great.
It's a very Euro album book look there.
Yeah. Again, all the photo reference that they use, but it's fantastic. That's how you do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that looks much better.
Yeah. So that's why I thought I'd pop that in there and let people know that it exists.
I feel like that's what they were going for in Dynamite, like a painted book, but they did like a Photoshop, like tried to do the painting and they weren't quite there as far as
It looks like they painted it with mud.
A little bit. They used the smooth tool.
Yeah, just this.
Let them see the strokes there. That's what you do.
Yeah. But this looks amazing. I don't know why I don't have a copy.
Well, this also like they use color to depict the mood and stuff where you see like that warm panel and that cool panel. I didn't notice a whole lot of that in the Dynamite version. No, everything is painted very like the color it should be, like sky is blue, grass is green kind of look.
The Dynamite one is
not to crap on it, of course, but that's just like my observations.
I think they are doing that individual panels and so on, but there's one or two pages, but it's more because they've decided to give the room green walls or something, and that's what Whereas looking at this, it's obviously his thematic. It's what he's trying to do, make it dreamlike, you know. But yeah, so that's. Is there any books you've got that I didn't include in that list there, or any you can think of?
Geez, I'm trying to think. Well, there's like. There was an old Classics Illustrated. I don't know if it was that one that you had. I remember having a few, like, let me see. I wonder.
There were, that one was reprinted. That one was printed as a Classics Illustrated, then as a Marvel Comics Classics.
There's some different ones. We used to have these comic books that I had, like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and like Treasure Island, stuff like that. I kind of wonder if, gosh, I'd have to try to find it. But
I'm trying to think, because I know the ones you mean. They were like the artwork wasn't quite as up to the level of Nestor Redondo in those ones, I don't think.
No, yeah, they were very much made for kids. Maybe it's Classics Illustrated. I'm trying to think. I used to have, I want to say maybe I had Dracula. I can't remember. But no, most of the stuff that you had on that list was, in fact, stuff in my collection. But a few of those I hadn't heard of, so that's interesting.
Yeah, no, there's because I was looking through. I'm sure I've got. I mean, like I said at the start, just so many books with Dracula in them that we could have gone down. But for the actual adaptation, I think that's the main ones covered.
Yeah.
For now.
For now.
Yeah. So I've introduced you to Scream.
Yeah, that looked interesting. I like that.
Oh, hang on a minute. giant Fantagraphics book. But it's weird that because this cheapy wee thingy has got some of the nicest artwork of any of them. Strange. So that's that.
World Comics Review Classic Illustrated re-released in the UK around 2011 with some hideous coloring.
Oh yeah, I think I saw them. They were because I had them. They were terrible. They were shocking. Yeah, I think I picked up a War of the Worlds or something and had a look at it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, they tried. They tried to get the little kids into it.
Yeah, they did. But that was that then. That was my Dracula show and tell more than anything.
What a trip down memory lane.
Indeed, a trip down memory lane. I'll tell you when I was we'll go back up there too. You appreciate this, Pete. Well, I'll tell you what, that's very small thumbnails on this. There we go. When I was buying Dracula Lives, watching Christopher Lee on late night TV, there was also a Dracula radio production that the BBC did at that time. And I sat up with my tape recorder and microphone next to the radio, taped it. It had to be very quick to turn the tape around so I could get the whole thing on one tape on each side. And then when it was finished, this sounds sacrilegious. I cut up the cover for a Dracula Lives, and I made an insert for my Dracula radio production. And then I could listen to that radio production over and over again. And I remember loaning it to a few of my pals at the time to listen to as well. So there was, when I was like a wee kid, there was this Dracula was like prevalent. It was everywhere for a good couple of years back in the early 70s.
Okay, I've got
70s.
I've got it. These were called Saddleback Classics. So you had like art like this. Wow. Never mind.
Wow. That's a
beautiful, right?
That's a gorgeous looking.
There we go. So
that's Nestor Redondo. That's this.
This is the one you were talking about? Like,
yep.
Because this is the cover. They had like little.
That scrolls. Is not this. Yep, that is not the same inside, but your connection isn't private.
But yeah, they have these covers like redone here, like they're painted usually and stuff. But yeah, this was like the.
No, look at the interiors. If you go to like.
Is this like, was Nestor Redondo black and white?
Yep, but that's the colored version. That's the colored version of his work.
Saddleback Classics. Yeah, they did all kinds of adaptations like this. Tons of them.
Yeah, no, they must have used the same ones instead, because that's exactly the same as this one. Not with the hideous coloring.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right.
Well, then we did cover it. Never mind.
We covered it all. Excellent. Right. So, look at that Howard the Duck. That Howard the Duck. See that the actual story, and that's drawn by Michael Golden, with black and white and wash. It's beautiful. Amazing. It looks amazing. But anyway, get back to that. The end. 2 weeks' time. I'll be here with Lucifer, Nick, and we're going to take on the devil, Statto. Again.
Get some of that holy water.
Yeah, going to give it to him full on. So, yeah, we're going to do a show where the Terrible Trio talk about all things satanic and movies and books, and probably not so much comics. We'll maybe do that ourselves. Look at the devil in comics. God, Marvel. Don't know what they do with the devil. That's the only comic book company that retcons the devil. It's weird, but
yeah.
So that's us in 2 weeks' time. So that's just before we head off. Just thought I'd bring that up and say, make a date. So thanks for joining us, World Comics Review. Pete,
Yeah, you guys. Thank you very much.
Yep, Nick, Dr. Bass,
Nice to get back to
Dolly
it.
and Dave. Anybody who's watching, somebody's watching on Facebook. Anybody's watching on Twitter. I hope that was worth your time. I enjoyed revisiting a lot of these comics over the past month and having a look at them.
Did you read any of them before the stream? Just kind of flip through them.
I'm reading my way through Tomb of Dracula, so
Okay.
I'm on the second Masterworks volume. I started reading them again.
Oh, cool.
But I tend to kind of like pace myself, so I don't want to read loads of them.
Yeah.
The only one that I could say that I read all the way through for the show was the Dynamite. No, it wasn't the Dynamite one. What was it?
Did you ever read through all those EC books you bought?
Some kind of crazy masochist. It was this one where I read all the way through this one.
Ah, it's beautiful.
Because it's a gorgeous book.
I feel like it'd read real quick too, because there's like 3 panels per page.
Yeah. And I dove into this one again, which I had read through. But I went and read some wee bits. But yeah. And likewise, I jumped into just a few pages of this one. I just wanted to get a feel for the ones that worked.
Yep.
This one and the Bela Lugosi one work really well.
Sure did.
Give us a miss.
Yeah, unfortunately.
This works really well. Like I say, the link down below, you can hear Christopher Lee reading it if you follow that link. And it's just a gorgeous wee book, this. And this one surprisingly works really well. Except for that cover, but it's one of my favourites. Because again, it was the Marvel comic book version of it. They reprinted it with fairly good cover colours. Didn't dive into that one again, but I did read it all the way through when I first got it, like quite a few years ago now.
Well, they're pretty dang similar.
Yeah. I read a couple of the wee stories in this one, but I didn't read them all again, but I've read them all in the past.
Sure.
And I read that one about a couple of months ago. So technically, yeah, I read that all the way through. It's really good. Like I say, it's almost like a Savage Sword of Conan type thing.
Right.
And I'm on the second volume of these right now. So
Sweet.
That's it.
Love it.
Cheers, Pete.
Thank you, Pete.
So what's next then, Statto? What are we doing next?
I don't know.
Always disturbs me
You
if you're over
haven't given
there.
me the show notes. I don't know what are we talking about. Whether we're talking about movies or comics or a little both.
I don't know.
We haven't talked about that yet.
I just
probably not going to be Tales from the Crypt.
I thought this would be a quick, easy one to do, and then I put together like a 45-page PDF.
Well, and you only did like a third or even a fifth of the adaptations out there, so.
I know, but that was my afternoon well spent. That was fun doing that because I was just basically researching stuff. Oh, that's what I did read. I did read, although we didn't. I don't actually physically have a copy. Right, where is he? This will be quicker than trying to find it with the thumbnails. I didn't read Dracula. I did read that.
Yeah.
So I did read that. I read not all of them, but I read one entire issue of it. That one there. I couldn't really tell you what the plot was.
It's ready for a redesign.
Yeah, but that was one that I'd read an entire issue of and flicked through some of the other ones. Right, so we just need to work out what we're going to be doing next. Something that we don't need to do a lot of research for.
Yeah.
So you mentioned EC. Did I ever read all my ECs? I've not read all my ECs. I've read a good few of them. I'm falling behind because I've just not got the time to do anything right now because work.
How you liking them as far as like first reading them?
Good.
Compared to like some of your Euro counterparts.
No, they're good.
And stuff. Yeah.
No, they're good. Yeah. I do like. I'm more of a 70s type guy. I like the. I like the kind of like the way that they did things then for the war and stuff, But as you know, I've become a big EC fan.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward. The next couple of months, we're going to see more like sci-fi and like the war / manly tales type stuff. So I'm pretty interested to read some of those books because we've gotten so much horror up to this point.
Yep.
As far as those go.
So I don't know. What do you want to do next? Do you want to do movies or comics?
Let's toss up. I like them both. Movies seem to do better. People seem to.
I put more effort into the comics ones, and nobody bothers.
Isn't that how it is? I do the same thing with my sketches. I'll just like puke something onto the page and be like, "Hey, 30 likes," and I'm like, "I'm gonna spend all day on this. It's gonna be beautiful." 5
Right.
likes.
So we need to do something. So okay. So we'll next time then we're going to go for the viewing figures, right? So what we're going to do, guys, we're going to go for the viewing figures. What? Let's see.
Got to do some kind of a movie then.
Some kind of a movie.
Franchise, maybe.
Ranking that. Oh.
Movies that were good that nobody watched.
Ranking the Indiana Jones movies. Oh, I don't know. But that means I need to watch the new one. I don't know if I want to do that.
I'll put that one at a 5.
We could do that though, because we've done the Rambos, we've done the Bonds, we could do it like we did with the Superman films and that.
Have we done Godzilla?
No.
No. There's only like 20 or 30 of those.
No, we do need to do that. We do need to do it in the future. But
Kong, we can do King Kong. He's got a shorter list.
You say that, but
let's see. There's King Kong. There's Kong versus Godzilla. King Kong Escapes. There's the Jeff Bridges one.
Son of Kong.
Son of Kong. You're right. King Kong Lives.
King Kong Lives.
And then the
Queen Kong.
What's that?
Queen Kong.
Which you must have watched a different movie than me.
Then do we do adjacent? Do we do Mighty Joe Young?
Well, Mighty Joe Young. I mean, like if you look at the Disney one, that's just basically a small scale remake. The original Mighty Joe Young's different, but the new Disney one, that's the one from the 90s. That's just King Kong because
the original Mighty Joe Young is a masterpiece.
It was really good, but I mean, like the new one, instead of climbing a skyscraper, he climbed a Ferris wheel. So it was a small scale with Bill Paxton in it. Yeah. So there's maybe like 8 Kong movies. If you count like the Godzilla versus Kong, the newer one, and then Skull Island, and then Peter Jackson, and that's like 8, maybe 9. Not too terrible.
Yeah. Queen Kong. There you go.
Never heard of that. Wow, that's weird.
Yep.
I don't know if that'd be on my list.
Yeah, there's they're not all the actual Queen Kong. There's a Queen Kong.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's something. Pete says Conga.
Conga was great.
That's just we're getting into giant ape movies at this point.
Yes, we do Queen Kong,
great.
and then like Robin Asquith. He's on Twitter. Try and get him on.
Ooh, you got King Kong in Planet of the Apes. It'd be like Gulliver's Travels almost.
Oh.
He wakes up and he's got like ropes all over him and stuff. And
we could just watch. We could do a watch along with Queen Kong. But
I wonder why no one's. Yeah, you say that now.
Yeah, we're not doing any of the watch alongs thanks to that last one.
Just by uploading the thumbnail, you get 5 copyright strikes.
So we'll do it at some point eventually.
What is this? I can brag about seeing the 33 Kong on IMAX recently. Something you seen? What? I didn't get to see it on IMAX.
You see, Pete lives near this incredible cinema that puts on incredible.
I don't mean to be rude, but screw you, Pete. That's how.
And then he goes to these amazing. He goes to these amazing weekends. Even more incredible cinemas showing incredible movies.
I got some real respect for it, but come on.
Yeah. Set me up.
Gorgeous
Ray Harryhausen book. Thanks very much for that.
My goodness.
It's great.
It's great.
Look, it's up there, right? It's up there. Looking at it just now. It's great.
That's awesome. I mean, like for a cinephile, that kind of thing must be like a dream come true to be near these like events and like screenings and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've got nothing like that where I'm really. I've got in Dundee. There's the kind of repertoire DC is there. And it's okay. It's not the best in the world, though. It's all right, though. But
what was the film about the guy with the pet ape who's going to Any Which Way But Loose? Or Any Which Way You Can. One of the two. Clint Eastwood and his Clyde, his monkey
Clyde the
Clyde.
orangutan.
Yeah. Right turn,
Yeah.
Clyde.
Man,
Any Which Way But
nah,
Loose and Any Which Way You Can. Those are the-
Yep. Yeah, and Any Which Way You Can.
Oh, he's
that was
right.
the one that had the really disturbing image of who was
right.
the mother again? Ruth. Was it Ruth Gordon? That played the mother, the old woman, and they superimposed her head onto Bo Derek at one point. And one of the that's very disturbing.
I feel as though that's the Roadhouse style movie that just doesn't get talked about enough. Because there's a monkey in it.
Yeah, I saw that at the cinema. Every Which Way But Loose. They weren't going to let me in because I wasn't old enough, but they did.
Yeah.
It's a great cinema. This was a cinema where
not where I live, Pete.
Oh yes, Epoch.
Mighty
Peking Man. Yeah, I need to watch that. It's in my Shaw
that?
Brothers. It's Shaw Brothers. You know, they did all the kung fu movies of that. They did this
Shaw Brothers. I know what you're talking about. Yep.
It's weird. It's a mental movie. Ruth Gordon, yeah, she's the old woman, and there was one scene that they superimposed her head onto the body of Bo Derek running on the beach. It was traumatized me. We could do Clint Eastwood.
Have we? No. Well, we did a little bit of his westerns, I think.
We did a little.
No, we
do you know what I was thinking? We've quite a good idea. Correct me if I'm wrong. I was just the other day. I was thinking for us to do an at the movies where because it would be quite a good idea if we picked a bunch of genres and just picked what we consider to be the best of that genre.
Or favorite?
Well, again, that's what I was wondering. We could do either the best or favorite, or both the best and our favorite, because sometimes what you might consider to be the best isn't your favorite.
Right, absolutely. Like you go boxing movies, everybody loves Raging Bull. I can't stand that movie.
Right. So I think that might be we might be onto something with that.
Okay.
I'll just put a big picture of Brie Larson on the thumbnail, and everybody will come and watch it.
Come on now, that's troll clickbaiting.
That doesn't work in these days. Who would I have to put on these days if I was going to do some clickbait?
Well, you'd be like top 10 of this, and you'll never guess what number 7 is, or something like that.
We could do that. There you go. Pete says that sounds like a great idea.
Well,
so we'll pick genres, and we'll pick what we consider to be. I'll find a better way of put not the best, but the perfect example of that
most
genre.
Effective.
Yeah, and then our favorite.
Okay, so you're talking like adventure movies, and you might say like The Rocketeer, Indiana Jones, or The Mummy, or something like that.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You'd go. Yeah, so I mean,
I got my adventure movies list.
That's that. So I might pick Dracula AD 1972 as my favorite.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm not. It's maybe not going to be the best example of the
the
horror genre.
You're saying the one that you'd show like somebody the first time, like, I want to see an adventure movie. I've never seen one. Well,
have a look at this.
Yeah. I get you. That's not a bad idea.
Okay then, that's good enough. Not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea. Or we do the canon Alan Quartermain movies.
Boy, I got it.
Right. On that note, we'll decide for the next time you see us what we're doing. In fact, I don't know if anybody wants to put a thumbs up or a thumbs down in the. If anyone's still watching in the chat, should we do a thumbs up for bests, thumbs down for Alan Quatermain. Let's see if anybody does that. Pete, I'm holding out for you.
Alan Quatermains in this, although people like Cannon, so I don't know.
First one wins.
First one's great. I bet the first one. If anybody does any kind of a thumbs up or thumbs down.
Can you do a thumbs up? You
Yeah,
can. Best of. There you go.
Okay.
Best of.
Keeps talking about best of. Okay. All right.
Just dawned on me. Maybe you can't do a thumbs up. Right. Okay. That's awesome. That's what we'll do next time.
All right.
Right. Well, thanks very much for joining us. That was Dracula in the comics and a lot of just blathering about nothing. And
buddy.
We will be back. Actually, 2 weeks' time it will be a Terrible Trio. And also, I'm working on something with Lucifer. We are doing remember we did that ranking of the Bonds, where you ranked them and I ranked them and we did them side by side. I'm doing the same with Lucifer, but we're doing Doctor Who's.
Oh, really? I thought you were going to do like Video Nasties or something like that. Like,
no, that would be an entire series.
Watch that.
No. This is going to be a kid-friendly one. It's going to be, well, I don't know. Once we start talking about the recent Doctor Who's, I doubt it'll be kid-friendly. Right. But yeah, so we're doing that in the future as well. But yeah, I'll be back here then with Statto, and we'll be doing our best ofs and recommendations ofs or whatever. We'll think of something to call it.
I'm already excited.
Cheers, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Cheers, Pete. Right, I don't have an outro, so let's just stay still. Be gone, interwebs.